I'm recording some directions for the virtual kids too. So there's a couple things that I'm getting ready to say that for you guys it doesn't quite apply. Everybody is going to go here to where it says equations part 3. And if you are a virtual kid, you're going to need to open up both of these. But of course, my live guys, you're just going to click right here where it says algebra balance equations. And when you click on that, it's going to give you a little something that looks like this. And you guys keep those tablets handy. You're going to need the camera for the tablet. So, because the graphic organizer you guys don't need to do since we're here live. So my virtual kids, though, you guys are going to need both of these links open. So you'll need the algebra balance beam, and you'll need to click on, go under your work and go to where you go. Actually, let me show you for my virtual guys. So this is what it looks like on your side from where I hacked my kids' account. So go to view assignment, and then under your work, you're going to want to open up your copy. But live kids, just keep those tablets handy. We're going to do it a little bit differently for you. So the first part is standard for both of us, no matter whether we're live or virtual. So the first thing you're going to want to do, obviously we're starting, we did a great job with doing the more basic equations, so now we're ready to move on to more big kid equations. And it's always a good first step to understand exactly like how it would work from a hands-on perspective before you start trying to do it on paper. And so the first thing you're going to do, anytime just to get a new problem, when you get finished with this, you'll just click new problem, and it gives you a new one. You'll see there's a wide variety of problems. So it doesn't really matter what it looks like first, just whatever the first one is that's open. And so remember that, as we already talked about, an equation is kind of a good way to think about it is like a balance beam, where that equal sign is right there in the middle. Everything that's on the left-hand side of the equation is going to go here on the left side of our little imaginary balance beam. And everything that's on the right side here is going to go on the right side of the balance beam. So the problem that pops up at first, my problem probably isn't the same one that you have, and that's okay. Just follow along with me and hang tight while we're working this one together, just so you kind of have an idea of what to do. So the first thing we need to do is actually build a model of what that equation looks like. And you'll see we have these the little boxes that have a 1 on them. Those are units. That's what we're going to do, just to build the regular old numbers. And you can drag them around, just throw it in the garbage can if you're done with that one. So to start, I'm going to go ahead and do 2 x's. And I need to put them on the left-hand side. And again, I know yours isn't the same problem as mine probably, and that's okay. You can just watch me for a minute. So that means I'm literally going to take 2 of these little x's, the mystery box, and I'm just going to stick it right here on the left-hand side of my balance beam. And not only are there 2 x's over there, but there's a 5 also over there, right? So that means we are just going to drag 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oh, that didn't work. 5 units. Over on the right-hand side, if it's just a plain x, that just means you have 1 x. So I'm going to take that 1x. The equal sign, remember, is the middle. So that means over on the right-hand side now, I need to just put 1x. And because it has the number 6, I need 6 units. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I know that I've set it up correctly for 2 reasons. A, it's balanced. Okay, here's the other reason I'm going to know that I set it up right. I'm going to hit the continue button right here, and if I don't have it set up right, it'll tell me, but I've got it set up right. So now we're going to do what we need to do in order to get the variable isolated. So in the last ones that we did, we only had 1 variable in the entire equation, right? So all we had to do was focus on getting rid of whatever numbers were sitting there with the variable. This time it's different. I've got 2 variables. I've got 2 x's over here on this side, and I've got 1x over here on the other side. You can't just drag, 1x over to one side or the other, otherwise you're going to mess up that balance. So you can't just put them together. One of them's going to have to go. So this is the part that kids they hate it because they wish there was just one right way to do it. It honestly doesn't matter which one you get rid of first. I personally feel like it's easier to get rid of 1x. So I'm literally, in a second, imagine my hand, I'm going to reach on that balance beam, and I'm literally just going to yank that x right off of there. What is the big kid word? So I'm going to take it away from that right side of the balance beam. So what's my math word for take away? I'm subtracting it, exactly. So I'm going to now I could just like drag them around and stuff, but it's a little bit easier to keep track of right here. So I'm literally going to hit the subtraction button, and the same way you can subtract a number, you can subtract an x. Like you can literally just pull that x right off of there. So I'm going to subtract, so I hit the minus button, and I'm going to subtract an x. And also notice that it says from both sides. It's going ahead and telling us that we're going to subtract an x from both sides. So what's about to happen, if it functions correctly, is that x is about to go bye-bye, and one of those x's, not both of them, but one of those is going to go bye-bye too. So let's see. So I'm going to subtract an x from both sides. I'm going to click the letter go, or the word go. And now you can see that I only have, first of all, the x on the right-hand side of the equal sign disappeared. We don't have that x anymore. And I'm down to just one x over here on the left-hand side. So remember the example we talked about earlier. To figure out how much that x is worth, it's got to be isolated. It's got to be by itself. We still have this little 5, those units that are just sitting there hanging out with the x. So we still don't know exactly how much that x is worth yet. So what are we going to do? We're just going to take the 5 and we're going to take it away. We're going to take it off of the balance beam. So again, taking away means subtraction. That's a big kid way of saying it. So I'm going to keep this subtraction highlighted, and I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides, because right now my x, let me make that a little bit bigger, my x is still not isolated. It's still sitting there with that 5. So I'm going to take away, I'm going to subtract that 5, do it from both sides. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. So now we have our isolated x on one side. We have just 1 on the other side, so we know that x must be equal to 1, because we've done all the steps that we need to do in order to isolate that variable. So my virtual kids, you guys just need to take a screenshot. Make sure you take a screenshot of this whole thing so I can see, because as long as you do this, it like saves your steps. I can see what your original equation was and all that. So all you need to do is copy and then just paste a picture right here. My live kids, just use the camera on the tablet you have, and you can just snap a photo of the 10 that you're doing, and I'm just gonna like flip through those photos when you get done, because the goal is that we're doing 10 of these, like we're practicing it that way. So my virtual kids, just take a screenshot. I can see, I know I kind of goofed on these directions, but I'd already put it on there. So I just need the one picture that has the equation and it's solved, and because all your steps in between show up so I can see what you did, okay? So let's do one more. I'm going to click New Problem. Actually, I want to get here we go. Oh yeah, I'm going to do this one. Okay. So this time, I'm still going to build it the same way that I built it before. So I'm going to look at what I have over on my left-hand side first. So I've got 3 x's and I've got a 4. So that means I need to put 3 x's and 4 units right there on the left-hand side. And I need to put 7 units on the right-hand side, because I've got the 7 on the right-hand side of my equation. I know I probably did it right because the equation just balanced out, my little balance beam balanced, but I'm going to click Continue, and if I did it wrong, it would tell me, no, wait a minute. Okay, so this time I only have 1 x that I need to get by itself, but I've got 2 things hanging out here with it. I've got that 4 and I've got that 3. So technically speaking, you could get rid of either of those numbers in any order that you want. However, I personally think it would be a little bit of a hassle to get rid of the 3 first, because that 3 is sitting next to the x, right? And that means multiply. What's the opposite of multiplying? Oh, thank you, dividing. So if I divided, I got to divide both sides by 3. See how 7 divided by 3 turns out to not be a whole number? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that could be a little, I don't know about you. That's why I don't teach the 7th grade anymore. Eek, couldn't get me out of there fast enough. Fractions and decimals. I know I'm not supposed to say that as a math teacher, but yikes, I can't stand it. So we're going to deal with the +4 first, okay? So how am I going to get rid of a +4? Well, the opposite of plus, of course, is going to be subtracting. That's how we're going to get rid of that +4. So I'm going to highlight subtraction. I'm going to subtract 4. It's already set up to do it from both sides. Click go. And then last but not least, I have the 3. Once again, I have 3 x's, 3 sitting next to the x. So all we're doing is we're going to divide both sides by 3, like we already did on those one-step equations. If I take this side and basically you're just like dividing it into 3 groups is basically what you're doing. So it's kind of like if you take those 3 x's and you split them up, you're just going to have 1 x left over. But you got to do the same thing on this side too. So 3 divided by 3 is going to, so we're going to divide both sides by 3 and see what we get. So I need to make sure I click divide both sides by 3. And I've got my final solution right here of x is equal to 1. That was just a coincidence. A lot of them don't turn out to be 1, but when we're using kind of small numbers, that's the way they're going to be. So my live kids, just snap a photo of the end result right here where I can see what your original problem was, and all your steps are documented. My virtual kids, just take another screenshot. And you're going to pop yours right underneath here where it says equation number 2. Don't worry about explaining your steps because, again, I forgot it already tracks them for you, so you don't need to worry about, like, writing that out or anything. Okay, so the goal is to get 10 of those yourself. So my live kids, I'm going to come scroll through. I hope I see 10 pictures in a few minutes. Obviously, I'm happy to help you as you need them. And my virtual kids, that's what our session for today is about. So if you need help with that, let me know.